There are too many places in South Africa where too many people go hungry too often. And the Eastern Cape is a province where it's about as bad as it is anywhere else in the country. So, what a lovely experience to find out that sometimes a community can come together to work on growth and self-sustainability. And one of the outcomes of that is that no one goes hungry in the village of Goboti. Estelle Ellis, a journalist with Daily Maverick, joins us to tell us more about the story. Estelle, good afternoon. What are the villagers of Goboti doing that others could learn from?
Good afternoon, John. I think, and I'm so encouraged by how many people are coming to see the villagers of Goboti to ask them how they can also implement this plan in their village. So, but we need to just take a few steps back. So, I think their first recipe for success is that they've been working on this for 15 years, right? They started, or actually more than that, they started a few decades ago to install this idea that as a village they can plan together, they can set a goal, and then they can work towards the goal. And they've been doing this for a few things, to fix up the church, to build classrooms, to establish sport facilities. And then as the hunger crisis grew in the province, they then set their next goal to make sure that there is food for everybody. And then I think the next lesson from them as well is that while they do emergency food for people who don't have something to eat, they want to be sustainable. So for them, it means, having enough food means that people must work in their gardens. They're establishing gardens wherever there's space in everybody's yard. They have beautiful soil there and beautiful water. So they are plowing their lands, they're planting vegetables. And I also like their economic idea that they then keep the money inside the village. So the landowners get some money, those who work on the lands get some money, and then people can buy their food. And I think it's quite green as well because there's no transport costs. So it's just a win-win situation. Incredibly positive place.
For something like this to happen, and happen in the sustained way that it has been happening over the period that you described, Estelle, you need leadership, you need communal leadership, and you probably need a leadership figure, although that's perhaps not absolutely vital. So how... You read the story that Sam Soul and Greg Audet have on the Daily Maverick's website at the moment about Richards Bay and the extent to which money which is raised for the community is spent on and by only a few members of the community and others don't benefit. Now, obviously, Goboti is much smaller than the Richards Bay area, but you need leadership that says, I'm leading on behalf of, along with the people that I lead. What is the leadership structure in the village?
Absolutely. So we've got the Reverend Kobani Vika that is born there. He's from the village. He went overseas to study, but he came back. Where says he didn't finish his PhD overseas because he felt the calling of his village. And I experienced the Reverend as a very inclusive type of person. So when they don't know, he consults professors and academics to see how they can improve their sustainability plan. And he looks like he involves everybody in the village. For instance, they were donated a tractor now by government, and the first thing the Reverend said was, okay, but we have to maintain it. So it's not my problem, it's everybody's problem to maintain the tractor. And so we now need 100 Rand for the tractor fund. So I think I really found him to be a person who wanted to include everybody in his plan. But also, as you said, it's unless it's the people of Goboti want to go somewhere, you can't push them there. People need to, this is their future, so they need to go there by themselves, and you can help along the way. And I think that for me it's a good leadership approach. And of course, in being a reverend, I think it's also based in strong ethics and values.
Not necessarily always following, but I take your point.
True. as I said it, I thought, oh no, I don't think so, not always. But in this case it is.
So, there was another story reported a couple of weeks ago. It might have been on Daily Maverick, it might have been on News 24. I'm not sure where it was, about an agricultural project in the Eastern Cape as well, sort of further up into what was known as Transkei than Goboti is, and there a lot of government money had gone in, and at the end of 5 years, sort of 50 million had been spent, and the local community that was supposed to benefit from this had nothing. The few structures that had been put up had become derelict. The cows that had been bought had all died, and so on. So sustainability is so important, and what's happening here is not something which is a flash in the pan. It is something which has established itself as having been sustainable and therefore likely to be sustainable into the future.
Absolutely, and I think the one secret that I haven't mentioned that struck me was that the people there they do take small steps, right? So they didn't start with like plowing 800 hectares and planting stuff and then not knowing what to do with it. They started small. So Mantusini dairy project, I think, which is the one you referred to in Port St. John's. It appears to me that there's such a big operation that they started in a place that might, without sort of sustainability measures that were put in place, and an incredible amount of money that got wasted there. And that's what made me think that maybe government must come with the tractor once the sustainability has been proven. Don't bring the tractor before you've done anything. And I think that is also one of the good things that are happening in Goboti, is that they have already shown that they can do something before they got government assistance.
And one of the other issues that you mentioned that preceded the ability to make people food sustained was the building of classrooms. Did you get a chance to look at the school and see whether that echoes the general air of success of the village?
Absolutely, yeah. So they built the classrooms, and then also I think the sport. I think like many rural villages, there are problems with drug abuse and alcohol abuse, and then couple the sport, development of sport in the village together with the classrooms. That was I think that's a good way. I think the Reverend said they decided they didn't want to be small people. They wanted to be people that are thinking big and do big things. And education and then also sport development were important to them.
Estelle, thank you very, very much indeed. Estelle Ellis is a journalist with Daily Maverick.